Procrastination.
Yeah.
It gets us all. So today, we're doing a deep dive into a real productivity classic. Brian Tracy's Eat That Frog. 21 great ways to stop procrastinating and get more done in less time.
Catchy title.
It really is, isn't it? And it comes from that quote, often linked to Mark Twain.
Right, the one about eat a live frog first thing in the morning.
Nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. Yeah, that one.
And Tracy, he really runs with that image. His idea is, thankfully, you're not eating an actual frog.
Phew. Okay, good.
Your frog is just, your biggest, most crucial task. The one you're probably avoiding because it's so big.
Uh-huh. The intimidating one? Exactly. But it's also the one that, if you do it, gives you the biggest positive impact. So eating the frog just means tackling that main task first thing. Get it done.
Get the biggest win out of the way early. I like that. Okay, so our mission today is basically to unpack the key actionable stuff from this book, give you a shortcut maybe to getting a grip on your daily productivity.
Yeah, moving beyond just like a simple to-do list.
Right. Understanding why some things matter more.
Well, the core idea, the real heart of it, it kind of boils down to this Tracy quote. If you have to eat 2 frogs, eat the ugliest one first.
The ugliest one.
No,
what does that mean practically?
It means effective productivity. It's not about just doing more stuff, frantically checking boxes. It's about doing the right stuff.
The high-impact things.
Exactly. The things that really line up with your goals. The ugliness is sort of its difficulty, but also how much it matters.
And the book itself, it's structured pretty cleverly, isn't it? Like 21 chapters.
Yeah, 21 practical, sort of bite-sized chapters. Each one gives you a specific strategy or maybe a way to think differently. It's less theory.
It's like a toolkit.
Exactly, a toolkit for getting things done day to day.
Okay, let's dive into that toolkit then. Some of those key strategies. First up, planning. Tracy really hammers this home every minute. Planning saves 10 in execution.
Right.
But it's more than just scribbling a list, isn't it? What's the real benefit of planning ahead, like he suggests?
Well, it's about cutting down on that decision fatigue. When you plan ahead, maybe the night before, you make the tough calls about priorities when you're fresh.
Instead of deciding on the fly when you're already stressed?
Exactly. So when it's time to actually do the work, you're not wasting energy figuring out what to do. You've already got your goals, the tasks, the schedule. It's like your defense against the day's chaos.
Keeps you proactive, not just reacting. Makes sense. Okay, so plan ahead. Then focusing on what matters. He brings up the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle.
Yeah, classic.
We hear about it a lot. But what's a common way people mess this up when they try to apply it? Like really ruthlessly, like Tracy says. How do you even spot that vital 20%?
That's a great point. Knowing the rule's one thing, applying it is another. A big trap is not really digging deep to figure out which 20% of tasks actually give you 80% of the results you want.
So you might pick the easy 20%, not the important 20%.
Exactly. People confuse being busy with being productive. The vital few tasks. They aren't always urgent. They aren't always easy. They're the ones with the most leverage tied directly to your big goals. So it takes stepping back, thinking long-term, and honestly, being brave enough to cut out or delegate the rest. It's like you said, radical prioritization.
Radical prioritization. That sounds intense, but necessary. And Tracy also gives us another way to figure out why something is a priority. He says, consider the consequences.
Yeah, this one's powerful.
How does thinking about the long-term fallout, positive or negative, help us actually choose what to do first?
It just shifts your focus, from what feels good now to what matters later. The importance of a task is tied directly to what happens if you do it or if you don't do it.
Okay.
Asking yourself, what's the impact if this doesn't get done? Or what good things happen if I tackle this now?
Yeah.
It cuts through the noise. It helps fight that urge for immediate gratification, those little distractions, and forces you to think about the future you.
Right. Focusing on the important, not just the urgent stuff that pops up. Okay. Now here's one that sounds a bit weird. Practice creative procrastination.
Huh. Yeah, that one gets people.
Because, isn't procrastination the enemy here? What's the creative part? Is it really about choosing to procrastinate?
It absolutely is about choosing. The sort of genius part is realizing you just can't do everything. It's impossible.
True. There's never enough time.
Exactly. So instead of just randomly putting off the important stuff, which we all do sometimes.
Guilty.
Tracy says, consciously choose to put off the low-value stuff, the things that don't really matter much.
So it's productive procrastination.
Precisely. Yeah. Deliberately avoiding the non-essential tasks. So you have the bandwidth, the energy, For the big, important frogs, it's strategic.
Okay, strategic avoidance. I get it.
Oh.
So to help organize all this deciding and avoiding, he gives us the ABCDE method.
Yeah, very practical.
A is must do serious consequences. B is should do mild consequences. C is nice to do no real consequences. D is delegate. E is eliminate.
That's the breakdown.
Seems simple enough on paper, but which letter do you think people struggle with the most in reality, and why?
Good question. I'd probably say E and D are often the toughest.
Eliminate and delegate.
Yeah, eliminating E tasks. That takes real honesty. And the guts to say no, sometimes even to yourself, about things that just aren't necessary.
We feel obligated, maybe.
Right. And D for delegating sounds easy, but it means trusting others, communicating clearly, letting go of control. That's hard for a lot of people.
Definitely. Control is tough to release.
But mastering those two, D and E, that's how you free up serious time for your A tasks, your frogs.
That makes a lot of sense. You got to clear the decks. He also talks about personal energy levels. Work on your most important tasks when you're most energetic.
Crucial point.
For many, that's the morning, but not always. How do you even figure out your peak time? And what happens if you just ignore this advice?
Well, figuring it out just takes a bit of self-awareness, really. Pay attention. When do you feel sharpest, most focused, able to really think deep?
Like tracking your own mental energy.
Sort of, yeah. For some, it's 6 a.m. For others, it might be 10 a.m., maybe even later. Ignoring it. Well, you're basically trying to tackle your hardest job, your ugliest frog, when your brain is running on fumes.
Setting yourself up to fail.
Pretty much. It leads to frustration, mistakes, slower work, and guess what? More procrastination. It just makes the hard stuff feel even harder. So find your peak hours and guard them fiercely for those big A tasks.
Respect your own rhythm. Got it. And the last strategy we'll highlight, it seems obvious, but maybe isn't, take it one step at a time.
The overwhelm buster.
Right. Breaking down huge projects into tiny steps. Why do we still get frozen by big tasks if the solution is that simple? Is there a psychological trick here?
Oh, absolutely. The hurdle is psychological. It's the sheer size of the thing that feels overwhelming. Our brains are wired to avoid pain or difficulty, and a massive project just screams difficulty.
So we freeze.
Exactly. Take it one step at a time. Works because it shrinks the task down in your mind. It lowers the cognitive load. You're tricking your brain by focusing only on the very next immediate action.
Not the whole mountain, just the next foothold.
Precisely. Just the next small step. This builds momentum, creates small wins, and makes it so much easier to just start and keep going. And, what's great is how these pieces fit together. It's not just random tips. The book's real strength, I think, is partly in those bite-sized chapters.
Easy to dip into.
Yeah, short, focused, easy to digest, perfect if you're busy and just want something you can use now.
Right, without needing hours to read theory.
And it's so action-oriented. Almost every page is like, okay, go do this. It's a toolkit, like you said.
Very practical.
And the advice holds up. It works for students, for professionals, entrepreneurs, pretty much anyone. Even though it's, over 20 years old?
Yeah, it's been around a while.
The core ideas are timeless because they're about fundamental stuff, focus, priorities, overcoming inertia. Still works today.
Okay, but let's get balanced here. No book is perfect. What are some of the knocks against Eat That Frog? I've heard some say it gets a bit repetitive.
That's a fair point.
Do you think the ideas are sort of echoed too much across chapters? Is that maybe intentional for reinforcement or just a drawback?
I suspect it's largely intentional. Tracy wants these things to become habits.
Right.
And repetition helps things stick.
True.
But yeah, if you're someone who wants totally new information in every single chapter, it could feel a little redundant at times.
And it's definitely not a deep psychological dive, is it? If you want to know why you procrastinate, the anxiety, the perfectionism, this isn't really that book.
No, it's very much focused on action. It doesn't spend much time on the underlying emotional stuff. It's more about, here's what to do about it.
Right. And the tone, some might find it a bit traditional, maybe a little rigid compared to, say, newer stuff like Atomic Habits or Deep Work, which might feel a bit more, holistic.
That's a really good observation about the tone. It is quite direct, no nonsense.
Does that risk putting people off, people who maybe need a gentler push? Or is that directness actually the key to jolting people into action?
It probably depends on the person, honestly. But I think its directness is part of its identity. Its goal isn't deep psychological exploration. It's to be a practical, no-fluff manual.
Get in, get the strategy, get out, get doing.
Exactly. It cuts straight to the what to do. For people who are tired of analyzing why they procrastinate and just want clear steps to actually stop doing it, that directness is probably a big plus. So thinking about who really gets the most out of this, it's definitely aimed at people who struggle to just start those big, important tasks. Procrastinators, basically.
Yeah, it feels like the primary target.
And people juggling a lot, busy execs, entrepreneurs, parents maybe, anyone needing a clear system to prioritize. Students, too, building those discipline muscles.
Good foundation for time management.
For sure. Basically, if you want a simple, fast framework to get control of your day without getting lost in complicated theories, this is probably a great fit. It's very direct.
It definitely has some memorable lines.
Yeah.
One that always sticks with me is, there is never enough time to do everything, but there is always enough time to do the most important thing.
That's a great one. Really reframes things.
Cuts through the overwhelm.
And another one that really nails the core idea. Your ability to select your most important task, to begin it, and then to concentrate on it until it is complete is the key to high performance and personal productivity.
It really does boil down to that, doesn't it? Pick the right thing, start it, finish it.
That's the essence. So ultimately, Eat That Frog isn't just another self-help book you skim and forget. It really is that sharp, practical manual.
No fluff, as you said.
Right. It's about getting stuff done, focus, clarity, a sense of urgency. Its power is in its directness. It's about doing the stuff that matters, not just thinking about it.
Yeah.
A really solid reminder that action beats analysis most days.
So, a final thought for you listening. As you go about your day, maybe just